today we are making clay slab treasure boxes. So we're really focusing on our concept. How are you going to create a treasure box where the inside, what your treasure is going to relate to the outside. So the design, the form of it. Alright, so let's start with our template first. So you're going to decide how big you want yours to be. Do you want it to be rectangular? Do you want it to be a perfect square? You decide. If you do want it to be a rectangle, you're going to need 2 squares. If you want it to be square, then you will only need 1 template. So I'm going to do a 5 by 5 inch square. So I go ahead and mark 5 for the width, 5 for the height, and then once I have my 2 marks, I draw 1 line and then the other, and I go ahead and cut it. So I have 5 by 5 squares. I've got my template. So if I'm going to make a full cube, how many sides do I need of this? 6. So I got the 4 sides and the top and the bottom. So my template is ready to go. Put these supplies away because I don't need them anymore. And now it's time to make the slab. Now when we do slabs, there are 3 different methods we can use. We can roll with a rolling pin. We can just use our hands, or we can throw a slab, or we can use the slab roller. So I'm going to show you those 3 different techniques. We get the clay either from the good clay bucket or from this clay bucket. Alright, I've got 3 pieces of clay. Don't forget to put the lid back on the clay so it does not dry out. And the first I'm going to do is throw a slab. So I kind of flatten it, and all I do is pull it towards myself. Notice how I do not slam it down. I just pull it towards myself. And then if we think about thickness, we absolutely do not want it any thicker than our thumb, but we think about 1/4 of an inch. So I can take my ruler, and right there would be a 1/4 of an inch. And I can see it's about the thickness that I want. Okay. And then I take my square, and I can take a knife or a needle tool. Oops, that wasn't very good. Neither was that. Remember, slow and steady. And then once I make my marks, yep, that's what I want, I can go ahead and cut it out. Now it's really important to be as precise as possible when cutting slabs, because we want our treasure box to fit together. Alright, so this was made using the throwing method. Now I can go ahead and use this piece of clay, and now I'm going to use the rolling pin. Now personally, I'm not a fan of the rolling pin because they just get stuck. When you use the rolling pin, you just roll a couple times and you have to flip it. If you don't do this, then it will get stuck. Alright. And let's see if it's big enough. Not yet. Keep going. Remember, 1/4 of an inch is a good thickness. There we go. Mine's not quite perfect. I want you to take the time to make sure that it's very precise. So one thing about slabs is it needs to be precise. Whether you're using the template or you're letting the slabs dry out. So yep, that looks good. I can go ahead and cut, keeping it precise. And I have my second slab using the rolling pin. So try to keep them about the same thickness. It's kind of hard when you're throwing or when you are using the rolling pin, but one way to really make sure that they're perfect is using the slab roller. So this is our slab roller over here. What happens is right here, you can see how thick they're going to be. Both sides are at a 1/4 of an inch, so that's what I want. A 1/4 to a 1/2 inch is about what you're looking for. And then you put your flattened piece of clay up against the edge. Oops. And then we roll it one direction. Ha ha ha, Harry Styles. Oh, now notice how, oh good, it's doing exactly what it's supposed to. So, keep rolling, keep rolling. Yes. And then notice when it's easier, that's when all the way is through. And then you do the other direction. It's like I'm a sea captain. And notice how I have my slab. I do need to put canvas underneath this. Alright, and I'll do that next time. There's texture on here, so you can, if you don't want that texture, please take a sponge and roll it out. And then I can go ahead and use my template, and I have my third one. Alright, 1/4 of an inch is pretty small, so for this I really would recommend 1/2 an inch. So, what I would do is I would continue to make sure that I have my 6 slabs, making sure they're about the same thickness. Now, if we're going to get to it the next day, we do not want to completely bag it because we need these to harden up and stiffen if we are going to create our treasure box. So, I would take the newspaper and I would just cover it. And what's going to happen is this will prevent it from completely drying out, but it's not going to be so much that it's going to be wet tomorrow. And then once I have these, I go to a wet box and I find an empty shelf. If you want to put your name on it, you absolutely can. And I put it in here. Alright. And then tomorrow I will be able to assemble our treasure box. Alright, this is the end of part 1. Thank you.